So, Frank, what's so important and what's significant about 70 and a half years old?
Jimbo, there's two things that are most important. Number one, if the good Lord blesses you with 70 and a half years and beyond, like He has me, I'm going to be 88, February 23rd, in about a week and a half. If you reach that age, you'll realize you're an old fart. That's number one. Secondly, at that time, you are compelled to start to make annual minimal withdrawals from a retirement plan, such as a profit sharing plan, defined benefit plan, money purchase pension plan, 401ks, etc. Government mandates this. And the amount that you'll have to withdraw is based upon how much money you have vested at age 70 and a half in the plan. Then you divide by life, what the government considers life expectancy. I believe the number is around 29. For a long time, it was 16. You take the total amount of money that you have vested divided by 16, and that's the minimum you got to withdraw. You can withdraw more than that, actually. So the $64 question is, when you reach that age of 70 and a half, how much annual income would you love to have coming to you starting at age 70 and a half until the day you die? That's the $64 question. Jim, give me an answer. Let's say $100,000. Let's use $100,000.
At 70 and a half?
Yeah, at 70 and a half until that time.
That I want to
until you die.
withdraw out of my plan is 70 and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. $100,000 a year.
You want $100,000 a year.
Can I have 150?
Yeah, okay.
But let's just do the example with 100.
You want $100,000 a year, every year until the day you die.
Okay.
How much money would you have to have vested to be able to live that dream? It'll make it very easy. If you had $1 million vested and it was producing an annual return on investment of 10%, which is not likely if we look at returns on investment historically for the last 10, 15 years, you're looking about 5 to 6%. At that time, when you're 70 and a half, you're going to be having a portfolio invested in the safest investments can be guaranteed, no risk. So let's use, we started $1 million. If you had 10%, you'd have $100,000. Not likely. It means you'll have to have $2 million at 5%. That gives you $100,000. Now, most contractors I talk to, use this number about $100,000. And I ask them, will you be able to live that dream? And from my experience, questioning them, I find 85% say no. And then I ask, well, why is that? Why won't you be able to live that dream? And they fumble around. And at the beginning of the conversation that I have with them, I ask them what their selling price is for an hour of labor built into their flat rate system. And most frequently, it's too low. So that's the reason they won't be able to live that dream. So how do we fix this? The next thing I attacked with them, I asked them, how many billable hours has your company generated in the last year? Most don't have a clue, or they don't have it at their fingertips. So the next question I asked them, well, how many people do you have in the field? Recently, I had a conversation with one of our Nexstar members, was 51 years old, been a member for 5 years. And he told me that his labor rate at the time was $360 an hour. And I told him I didn't think it was enough money. And the reason why, it goes right back to the 70 and a half thing. So how do we correct the situation and drive the point home to the contractor? This gentleman told me he had 10 people in the field. By taking 10 people in the field multiplied by 2,000 hours, that's 20,000 hours. Assuming that only 50% of those hours are saleable, which brings it down to 10,000 billable hours. I asked him if he could raise the price the selling price of 1 hour of labor by $20 an hour without it affecting his company negatively, where people would shy away from it, wouldn't do business with him. He said, not without a doubt, wouldn't have any problem. So if you had jacked up your price, your labor rate by $20 an hour, and you had 10,000 billable hours, how much additional income would that amount to? He fumbled around a little bit, and I told him, just let's do the math. The number's crunchy. 10,000 billable hours times $20 an hour. You tell me. Now, I always know the answer, but it's more dramatic if you hear the answer from them. The point becomes very strong. A gentleman said, well, God, Frank, is that $200,000? I said, yeah, that's $200,000. Now, what would you do with that $200,000 if you had it? And he fumbled around. I said, well, in my opinion, you take 50% of it and fund a retirement plan. By the way, how much do you have in a retirement plan? He told me $75,000. You need $2 million? Do the math. You're 51. Subtract 51 from 71. It's 20 hours. 20 years. Subtract 75,000 from 2 million. You got a long way to go. It'll never happen. You won't be able to live that dream unless you rob a bank or something like that. But the point is, we took it a step further. I said, do you think you could jack up the price another $20? In other words, $40. So now that your selling price would be hit that magic number in my mind of $400 an hour. He said again, without a doubt, I would have a problem. So now how much would you have if you did this? He says, Frank, I don't believe it. It's $400,000. I said, yeah, I like to put it more like this. It's $500,000, only short of $100,000 of being $500,000. $500,000 sounds more dramatic than 400,000. So we had one, cordial end to the conversation, and he couldn't thank me enough. So there is the shortcoming within our Nexstar University, as they call it, a university. We have all kinds of curriculum to help contractors become successful. But one of the curriculums we lack is the topic that I'm talking about right now. We teach them how to make money, but we want to also teach them what to do with that money, and also make them aware if they're charging it up or not. And another thing, when I ask them, are your faithful associates involved in a retirement plan? Many say no. That's a crime in my mind. It's sacrilegious in my mind. So, in my opinion, this has to be done. All of our coaches have to understand this. There's only 2 or 3 coaches that I'm aware of that have been principals of companies. The other companies have come to Nexstar as employees of other companies. So they have never walked the talk, or they're not as concerned about what I'm passionate about, making sure that we protect the public health, safety, and comfort of this nation. These are a wonderful life if the good Lord grants us those years. That's what it's all about. So it's vital that we do this, in my opinion. Amen. So take that.
Okay.
I think